Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, colleagues. Thank you for attending this ATLC workshop on EDVR. I believe that all of us are aware that the use of immersive technology in education is getting more and more popular. But one of the barriers to using VR or AR or XR in education is that usually the cost is very high, and usually it requires a lot of technical experts to create those VR content. To support colleagues to use this kind of technology in their courses in education, with the support of a QESS project, we have been working with Advance, e-learning developer, to develop a platform called EDVR, which is a VR content enrichment platform for everyone. It means that basically it is for those who have very limited technical background to create their own VR content. And today, we are very honored to have the representative from Advance to give us a demonstration on this platform. Without further delay, let's welcome David, the representative from the Advance.
Hello, everyone. I'm David, software engineer from Advance Company Limited. Today, I'm here to present you our newly developed VR platform, EDVR. So we'll cover a few topics. First, I'll tell you what EDVR exactly is, and then we'll use our EDVR mobile app to show you a demo of a science park field trip where our office was located at. And we'll also talk about how we can create a VR content from scratch with the EDVR platform. And lastly, we will try to enumerate a few use cases of EDVR in teaching and learning. EDVR is actually a VR content platform that allows anyone with or without technical background to create their own interactive VR content. It is composed of two major parts. The first part is a web editor for preparing VR content using your web browser. After preparing it with the web editor, you can use your mobile phone with our app and a VR cardboard to play the content. So what is a VR cardboard? We have got a sample here. This one is made of paper, and it is about $20 each, Hong Kong dollars, from Taobao. And you can unfold it like this and then put the camera here. Then you will turn your camera, put your mobile phone here. And then you will turn your mobile phone into a VR device. On this side, there are two lenses. And through this, you will see one single VR image. Later, I will explain more. And this is a plastic variant of the same thing. It's more durable, but it costs more, about $60 each. But I guess it's also more hygienic. And yeah, so there are a few possible applications of our platform. The first, let's go through quickly: virtual field trips, virtual exhibition, scenario-based training, simulation, and branch story. We'll go through this slide again later and go through it one by one. Now let's switch over to the app. I'll show you a field trip of science park that we have prepared. So now we'll launch our app. After login, usually the user will see a list of topics. And let's go straight into the science park field trip at the top. And then each topic is composed of numerous stops, or we call it VR scenes. Here in this field trip, all the stops are made of 360 photos. And now let's start from the last stop, stop 11. Now while it loads, and from this moment on, we have entered virtual reality mode. The screen is split into two halves. Two halves correspond to the left and right eyes of the VR cardboard. And from now on, you should put the mobile phone into the VR cardboard and continue the operation. And now your brain should merge the two images of left and right eyes into one, and you can see a sense of 3D vision. You can look around as if you are right there in Science Park. And then you can see that there are some arrows and a question mark above. We call these points of interest. They are the basis of interaction within our system. So let's try to stare at an arrow. Since we don't have any button to control the VR, we can only have control by staring. You can move your head, center the white dot into the place you want to click, and stay there for a few seconds. Then the point will be triggered. And what happened just now is that the arrow corresponds to a teleportation point. It will bring you to another place within the VR world. So let's go back through the yellow arrow to stop 11. And maybe it's getting a bit hot outside. Let's enter indoor area. So here, there's an information board about Professor Charles Cow. Let's see what it is. This is called the information point, and it is one of the points of interest we support. And by triggering it, some paragraph will be shown showing the life of Professor Charles Cow. And then let's close it. To our left, there's a restaurant. I often eat pizza here, and let's see what it sells. So we can see a photo of Lasagna. It is probably an Italian restaurant. And this is another type of point of interest we have, image. And maybe let's close it and go back outside. Here is a landmark of Science Park. We usually call it the Golden Egg. And it is actually an auditorium. So there's a question there. Let's see what it is about. So it's asking who is this auditorium named after? And the student can trigger any of these choice by staring at the ABCD buttons, and they can make any number of attempts at it. So let's try it. So if they get it wrong, they will hear a sound effect and see a red result. And the correct answer should be C. Right, yeah. All these responses are automatically recorded within the system. So later we can see them in the reports. And maybe let's go around a bit. Let's go forward, follow the yellow arrow. And turn right and enter the indoor area again. So this is actually kind of like Google Street View. We want to link these points together geographically. Yeah, go back there. Forward. And we also have a feature to set the orientation of these points so that they align to the north correctly. And here I want to show you a special type of MC question to the left. Yeah, you're supposed to sit on a rotating chair to ensure your safety. So what would you like to eat today? This looks like an MC question, but it's actually special. It's called a branch question. Each of the choices actually correspond to some other point of interest. For example, if we pick Italian food, let's try D. Wait a moment while it loads. So we will teleport it back to the place where the Italian restaurant is located at. Yeah. We'll go back and pick another choice. Let's say we want fast food this time. Then we will be brought to McDonald's. Okay. So teleportation point is not the only type of points that can be gathered into branch question. we can put some responses, like textual response there as well. So if the student picked the wrong answer, we can tell them why they are wrong, and they can learn from the mistakes. And I guess this part, that's about it for this part. I'll go back to the slides. And yeah, our app is already on our App Store, and the app is shared by multiple institutions. So just a reminder here, before you log in to the app or your students log into the app, you will have to choose Hong Kong Sian University, and then you can use your WebML account to log in. Same for the web editor we will mention later. You can also use the WebML account to log in because it's already available for CN. Okay, then so we skip that part in the demo. Actually, how do we share the VR module with students? We can use either the QR code or the session code. I'll show this process later. And then one thing to stress here is that points of interest, which means those arrows or question marks inside the VR scene, they are the basis of interactions in our system. We activate them by staring at them because we don't have any buttons to press. So they can be used to display media, MC questions, teleport, etc. We will talk about it later. So the questions comes, how do we create VR content from scratch in our system? We divide it into 4 steps. The first step is to prepare the environment. In our demo, all the steps, all the scenes are made up of 360 photos. However, we also support more types like 360 videos or even 3D models. We'll talk about it later. The second step will be uploading your prepared files to our system and enrich them by adding points of interest through the web editor. After all the preparation, we can finally experience that with using our mobile phone with the cardboard. In the future, we'll also support experience with VR headsets, which means HTC Vive for Oculus Quest. And lastly, we can use the web editor, the reports, to evaluate students' performance. Okay. So what about the environment? Currently, we support 360 photos and videos. Both are taken using a 360 camera. We will demo later. We also support 3D models. And the support for 3D scenes will be coming soon. The difference between 3D models and 3D scenes is that 3D models are things that you want to see from outside, like maybe a vase, an organ, a building. When a 3D scene would be some place you can enter, like a room, like a theater. And after the processing using the EDVR, we can play the content using the VR cardboard or in the future VR headset. So what exactly are 360 photos or videos like? This is an example. When we open the file like a JPEG, it is actually distorted. Usually they come in an aspect ratio of 2:1. And you can see obvious distortion, especially at the top and bottom, because it is transformed using the so-called equirectangular projection. This is kind of like turning the globe into a world map. The poles are more distorted. However, this distortion means that we can see the image from all angles, back and forth, bottom and below, 360 angles. And usually this is taken using a 360 camera. And we will try to take a picture right here and later upload to the system immediately. So the iPad will serve it as the viewfinder of this camera. And you can see preview right there. And let's change cheese. Is that okay? Okay. While it's processing, I will go on to next slide. Okay. To explain about this more, this 360 camera has two lenses back and forth, both are fixed eye lenses, so it can capture all angles at once. Okay. And then I would like to point out that this is not a panorama. 360 photos are not panoramas. Usually you take a panorama by sliding a mobile phone horizontally, but this will drop the top and bottom parts. So this is not an all-angle 360 shot. And this kind of photos have no distortion. It's all flat all over the place, and the aspect ratio is much wider. This type of media is not supported yet, and we will try to add it support later. And we just received the airdrop, so I guess we can take a look at the picture. Yeah. I would like to point out that you can see the roof and you can see my hair. If you remember, I put the camera up right above my head, but you can still see my hair. So it is, yeah. Although it's fresh, it's my hair. Okay. So I will upload this photo later into the system and show you how it works. And apart from 360 photos or videos, we also support 3D models. Usually you may wonder, how do we make 3D models? But the answer is that you may not have to make it yourself. You can find them. So there are free resources available online. There are famous websites called Sketchfab. And let's try to do some search. So this, if you are in the medical, this would be useful. And we're trying to look for a model of the rib cage, and you can see a preview right from here. This one is actually free, but the quality is already quite good. And you can check the license to see whether it is acceptable. Usually they are. For example, this one is CC attribution, so the only requirement is to say the name of the author in your product. We don't even have to pay. So apart from human organs, maybe we can try to find some animals. So there are free models. There are also paid models. Depends on what kind of quality you expect. And we can also find some artifacts, maybe. So this something from Stone Age. And we can see a preview right here. So this is one of the resources which we can use for free or paying a little money. If you expect a better quality, you can also find some student helpers, maybe, to make new models using Blender or Maya. And then lastly, although this part is not supported yet, I will also mention it, 3D scenes. As I said just now, 3D objects or 3D model are things that you want to see from outside, like an artifact, like a building. 3D scenes are places you want to enter, like a room, like a museum, like a gallery. Both 3D models and 3D scenes can actually be prepared using a new hardware called the 3D scanner. This device is about $5,000, and it can be used to scan maybe a shoe, maybe a device of this size, or even as big as a car, but that will take a lot more effort, of course. But this is possible, okay? And I forgot to mention, this kind of 360 cameras is about $2,500 each. And Dr. Chow told me that GN also has some for shared use. One, okay. Oh. And then let's continue a bit. Next, we will talk about the web editor. And so after logging in, normally you should see a topic list again. And just for today, we just made some using photos around this area. And let's try to add one more scene, which using the photo we just took. The classroom is this. The first step is to create a new scene and upload the cover image. This will be visible on the app before entering VR mode. And now we have created an empty scene. So the next step should be uploading the photo we just took. It will take some time while it loads, and maybe Zoom is interfering with it as well. Let's go back to the slides a bit. So previously, we've shown you that we organize these VR modules. We call them topics. Each topic is actually a collection of VR scenes. So to give you some ideas, it could be all stops of a VR trip, all the steps of a VR training scenario, or maybe all questions in a VR aptitude test. This collection of scenes, and we call them topics. And under topics, there are scenes, and scenes can be one of 360 image, 360 video, or exhibit. Exhibit means 3D models that we want to look from outside. And let's see whether the loading is done. After uploading the image, I will wait for its load. I will tell you, after uploading the image, we can add points of interest, which are the basis of interaction in EDVR. Currently, we support 8 types of points of interest: text, image, audio, video, link, multiple choice, teleport, and branch. And we have seen this info point before about the Charles Cow information, and image point for the Italian restaurant or McDonald's. Video, it works similar to image, so we will not be showing it. Link is a special type. You can open an URL page, maybe the Wikipedia, then the user will be brought away from the VR app into a browser. Because they will leave the app, so there's a confirmation dialog. Apart from that browser, we can also let them to another app or maybe app store, so long as the phone supports that kind of link. And MC question, we have shown it with the auditorium example. And teleport. Teleport is a way to link different VR scenes together. And lastly, the branch question, which is a special type of question that group many points of interest together. And the user can pick one depending on their choice. So in case the question has a correct answer, maybe the correct choice will bring them to the next step in the scenario training. And if they pick the wrong choice, they may be prompted why they are wrong. This would be the use of this type of question. Okay, it finally loads. So this interface is divided into 2 parts. The right half is a preview, and the left is a list of points of interest, which we don't have any yet. And we can already using the mouse drag and drop around here and to see a preview of it. And before we continue to add points of interest, I want to show you how 360 video and 3D models work in the app first. So let's switch to the app. This is a VR skydiving video we grabbed from YouTube. And this guy is recorded this video using the camera mounted on his helmet. The outside is very bright, but he's on a helicopter actually. So I guess it's about time he jumped. It is stuck. Oh, okay. So you can see we are getting it far away from the plane, and I guess this camera is more interesting because the camera can actually capture itself. You can see the camera. So for 360 video, points of interest can additionally have timestamps. So we can limit the time when a point of interest is shown to correspond to the video. And he's about to time to land. So let's switch to a 3D model. This is a fish model we downloaded from Sketchfab. It looks all right, I guess. And this mode is used for viewing any object from the outside. So what are this kind of media good for? Maybe for 360 video, you can film the situation where students may encounter, like in a ward for medical training, maybe in a council room for psychology. Then they can listen to the dialogue and make some decisions depending on the situation, and through which they can learn the progress and memorize the procedures. And for this mode, maybe it's useful for viewing some Asian artifacts or species or human organs. They want to take a closer look at the exterior of some objects, and this mode is useful. First, we should enter edit mode. It's kind of like Moodle. We have an edit mode. And the first thing I would do would be to align this photo to the north. I assume this is north. Okay. So that you won't be disoriented after teleporting to another point. And then we'll try to add the point maybe at the door. We right click on the previewer, and then there will be a sphere appear, and a new point will appear here. Let's give it a name to door. And we can choose its type to be a teleport point. And then the point will automatically change shape into an arrow. And then we can choose the destination, which is another VR scene called door. We can hit save in case the browser crashes. And then let's also try to add the question here at the screen. What day is today? Sorry. Question. And for questions, we can optionally provide a photo, but I guess we don't need it this time. A, Monday, B, Tuesday, C, holiday. And then we give 3 choices, so we should set the number of choices to 3. This is not automatic. And then we would pick the correct answer. Today is Tuesday. And after that, we can already try to use this preview to trigger the point, move the cursor, stare at it, and you can see how it will look like on your mobile phone. And we can also try to answer the question A, which is wrong, B, oh, it looks correct then, because it's green. We'll also try to add a link here to the mobile app. Although it's kind of a contradiction. Why do you need to access the app to open the link to the mobile app? We just copy the link from App Store and paste it here. And we can also change the shape to maybe a cube. And then save. We'll see how it works later in the app. Don't worry. And because we added the teleport point to outside the door, it should be symmetric. So let's go outside and add another point back inside as well. You can see how the teleport points in the preview one also work. And let's enter edit mode and right click here. And this should be a teleport points back to the classroom. The arrow is pointing to a strange direction, so we can adjust the rotation. So to make it look better, -45, okay, and save. Okay, the orientation looks correct as well. And then let's assume we have finished preparing this VR module. We can go back to the topic list. And here in this menu, there's a QR code for users to scan, and then students can use this code or the session code to join the topic. Because AirPlay will occupy this screen, so we'll have to scan it now. If you install the app, the first thing to do is to choose Advanced at the server, because we are using our company server for this demo. Don't choose Hong Kong Sian University if you want to join the demo. At the bottom of the main page, there will be Add button, and press it, and we can enable the QR code scanning mode, and then he will be scanning the code he captured on his phone. And now scroll to the bottom. You should see our newly prepared HKSYU VR module. And we actually took more pictures, but we didn't have enough time to link them together. So let's go directly into the classroom. The first time it takes a bit longer to load, and you can already see this is the photo we just took right here above my head. You can look down to see my hair. Okay, and then let's try some of the points we added just now. At the projector, we added the question, what day is today? And the correct answer is B. All the responses are already recorded in the report, which I will show you later. And then let's go outside. This is just right outside the corridor. And let's come back in. And we can also see how the link works. So this is a link to the EDVR app, to the App Store link. It will ask you whether you want to leave our app because we have to open another app. So let's choose yes. And then it will bring us to App Store, just like that. And I'd like to point out that if we actually align the orientation to north, he should actually face the right direction when he go to the door or watch the point here. But we didn't exactly measure the campus bearing, so it will be a bit distorted. And let's go back to the slides. So we've seen this from the topic list. We can get the QR code to join the topic. And after some students have played the experience with their phone, and since all the actions and responses are automatically collected by the system, we can see a report available in the web panel. The first part of the report will be about the popularity of each point, how many times they have been visited. And then we also have a graph to see the linkage between different scenes. This is automatically generated, although it may not be in a good shape. We'll check it later. And the arrows between points will show how popular each path is, and also the number. And the last part of the report, we can pick a scene and see how many times each point has been triggered and see how many how many responses have been collected and what they have answered. Although we allow multiple attempts at the MC questions, we also record both the first and the final attempts so that you may use it to keep track of the score. If you choose to use the last answer, it's probably just a participation score. But if you choose the first answer, then it may reflect what the student's knowledge level is. And let's take a look at the real reports. We just use the app to visit the door in the classroom. So only these two have a bar, and then only these two are linked together. But we can see another one in one moment. And for the points, now the mode is to see the final answer, and the correct answer is B, and my assistant Brian did choose B finally, but his first answer was C, so it's also reflected there. And if you expand the list, you can see a more detailed student list. And let's see how the graph looks like in action in other scenes. Maybe for the pond side field trip, we'll see it later. Okay. Because some paths hasn't been visited, so they are not linked together. Maybe see the science park one is better. Okay, because there are many points, the automatically generated graph is a bit messy, but if you can drag it around to make it look better. And after dragging, you can make it look like this. And it will reflect the actual geometry of the field trip we made. This is almost the same slide as before. We try to list a few use cases of EDVR, which includes virtual field trip, virtual exhibition, scenario-based training, simulation, and brand story. And now we'll go into it deeper one by one. So the first use case is virtual field trip, which is for outdoor use. The first demo we did, which is a science park, is one such example. Some courses may involve field trip to the outside area to see some animals. Like we had a friend who taught marine biology, and she goes to the mud flat every year. But it's summertime, so it may rain. And when it rains, they can't see any animal, and they won't be happy at all. So this system, developing virtual field trip in this system would suit such use case because it's all weather anytime, and they can make trips to any place, no matter it's accessible or not. Like now we can't go abroad, maybe we can use VR to satisfy our wants to travel. And so how do we make one? We just use a 360 camera to take pictures of different spots at the field trip sites. And then we can link them together using teleport points. And at each VR scene, we can add multimedia as additional information or add some questions to assist learning. Since all the responses and their paths are tracked by the system automatically, we can also see how the students perform or whether they have finished the task. This will be an example of a pond-side field trip we will show later. Virtual exhibition is the indoor case of the same example. Virtual field trip will be outdoor, but exhibition will be indoor. And maybe we can turn a gallery or a museum into VR. And then for this kind of statue, we can use the exhibit mode to see a 3D model of it around it. So it might be even better in the real scenario because we can't put it on our hands and observe it closely, but VR we can. So let's switch to the app again. And this is the point side field trip. Let's enter the stop one. So we are already in the wild environment, and on the floor, let's look back. There are two paths to other places. So this is how different points can be linked together. We are directly translating the geographic environment into VR. Let's go to the blue one. This is another spot. There is a question on the tree. So it's common for field trip to ask, what kind of tree is this? Is it a banana tree? No such choice, okay. So I guess it's a palm. And then students can perform self-learning this way. And let's go back to the water side. Spot one. So I just mentioned that maybe because of bad weather or bad luck, they can't see the animals they want to see. So we all comes to the saving. Let's take a look at what fish we can find in water, and at least we can see a fish using VR, even if we can't see the real one. I'm not sure. Okay, and let's go back and see the gallery demo. Yeah. Yeah, the gallery. And maybe let's check the painting section first. So if we actually have a real gallery setting, then it's very easy to transform it into VR with a 360 camera. Here, there are some paintings on the wall, and we can see some information about it. And this is like the information board at the museum, where we just turn it into VR. And let's go to the other section. So the idea is the same, but we want to show you the stone statue here behind. Yeah. And we want to take a closer look at it. Just upload a 3D model there. And one moment while it loads. So now it is like placing a statue right on your hand, and you can twist around it. And you can even see the top and bottom. I guess this one is done by 3D scanning. And let's go back to the slides again. So we showed you two uses in virtual field trip and virtual training. And the third one will be for scenario training. So oftentimes students' future job will involve some procedures which they should memorize during their studies. Like they become a nurse or become a doctor, then they have to follow some procedures strictly. Some other occupations, maybe social work, they have to take care of strangers often. They may encounter every kind of situation. And we can use VR to perform this kind of training. It is, for example, a 360 video may present them a scenario along with dialogue. And after seeing the scenario, they will be questioned how they should handle it, what they should speak, and then they can see the outcome of their choice using branch question. And our demo will show another scenario where they have to choose the right place to perform the next step. We'll show you a driving training demo. And the advantages of this application is that they can have a deep pre-impression through immersive experience. instead of just reading the books and imagining, they can actually have a more realistic experience of what they may encounter in their future job. It is also easy to create and customize the whole flow using our platform. And it will allow unsupervised self-learning. This is driving demo we'll show after we go through this section. The fourth application is to perform some simulation. For example, there are many inaccessible places, maybe the space, maybe a human organ. We want to pretend to be some kind of food and see how it goes through the whole digestive system. We can't do it using 360 cameras, but we can use it. We can do them using 3D models. We actually did a project for some medical department about the digestive system, and they allow students to go through the digestive system like a roller coaster, and then see the structure there and answer some questions along the way. I think some other teachers are also doing some simulation about how the heart beats and how the electricity signal in the heart flows. This is also a possible application of EDVR. And lastly, it's a branch story. Previously, I've mentioned that there's a special type of points, special type of multiple choice question known as branch questions. We can make use of it to to create some branched stories. For example, we can use it to perform aptitude tests. We can use it for language training. Like maybe there will be 360 videos presenting a dialogue, and you have to choose how to respond. And then it will cause different outcomes. It will create a more game-like and engaging experience to the whole VR exercise. And let's go to the app again. Where's my cursor? Okay, my cursor disappeared. Let's try again. Here we will show you a scenario training of a very simple driving test. As soon as you enter the scenario, you will be placed at the driver's seat. You can look around, and at the windscreen, there is a question. So, what is the first step of driving a car? If you look below, you can see some spheres. They correspond to the possible choices of your next step. I guess we should try to start the engine, maybe insert the key. Okay, not yet. And actually, the correct answer is there. We should fasten our seatbelt first. And then looks like it's correct, so we are at the next step. Maybe it's time to release the handbrake. Incorrect. Okay. The correct answer is to adjust the mirror, actually. So this just gives you an idea of how it may work. You can imagine maybe we are already in a ward and we hear something beeping. So the question is, what is beeping and where should we go to stop it? And then they can go on and on. Let's go to the vacation example. The last example will show you a very simple branch story. Let's imagine we are on vacation and we are staying in a hotel tonight. So the question here is, where should we go tomorrow? Maybe let's go to the beach. See, this is very similar to the science fair example. We just got teleported to another place, and we can observe something happen, or just see the scenery, or just or even add some story elements to the whole flow. Oh, I got the option to stay behind, so let's stay behind then. Wow. So this is how sunset looks like at the beach. So let's go back to reality and return to work. Stop joking, I have no occasion. True. And we are back to office. Okay, I hope this gives you an idea of how branch questions may be used. But I guess the most useful way would be combining it with scenario training and ask students to pick what their next move is and see the outcome. And then we know that there are some limitations to our system, so we have some features planned in mind. The first is to support the additional media types which we didn't support, like the panoramas and 3D scenes. 3D scenes are very similar to 360 photos, but instead of moving to another photo, we move within the 3D world from one place to another. And we also try to add support for different VR headsets so that we can use the controllers instead of staring to control the whole experience. And lastly, we also want to support VR collaboration. We want to give teachers more control over the pacing of how students operate this VR module, so that maybe all students will stay at the same place and can listen to the explanation of the teacher. And then we also want to allow students to see other classmates in the virtual world. And yeah, they are currently under development. And let's see whether we can implement it by next year. So I guess that's all for today's sharing. And next, we will take some questions from the floor. And after that, you can come out and experience some of our demos using the phones we brought here. Thank you. So any questions? Hello. Yes, that's true. Yes, otherwise they cannot get the virtual experience. They will just see the same thing you see on the projector, just two split screens. But using this cardboard, it will transform that split screen into one single image, like what you see with your eyes. Yeah, but each of this paper cardboard will cost about 20 Hong Kong dollars each. Really? It's exaggerating, about 20 because of exchange rate anyway. You also have shipping. 我哋係淘寶嘅係 and this can also come in a few sizes. The smallest one, I guess, is about 18 RMB. Larger one may cost up to 30 for larger phones. Okay. What I imagine is that for language teaching, we may not need to make use of 3D models. However, we may be put in a place, maybe For example, you want to learn some tourist language, okay? So maybe we will be placed in the foreign place, maybe in a cafe, and learn how to take orders, how to make orders, I mean. And the waiter may ask you some questions, and then the student will be presented with a few choices on how to respond. And at the same time, they can listen to the waiter speak in the foreign language, so they will practice their listening. They can also read the choices, and after taking the choice, they can also listen to how it reads. So I guess it would be possible use of EDVR in language learning. Yes. This uh, this is a bit technical, I guess. After choosing the choice, they will actually be brought to the next step. And in the next step, it may automatically play the video containing the sound effect. Maybe it's like that. But I guess what you want to do is achievable, but may not be the flow I demonstrated to you. Is maybe there's a twist behind it, but we can think of a way. Oh, thank you very much.